Okay, let's start talking about some this stuff about understanding the different bodies that we have. Yeah, I'm prefacing this to say that, yeah, I know there's some of these conversations that we're getting into, they start to sound like a little bit like esoteric, and these things are coming from some place where I don't know. I don't have any understanding of this. I don't even know why I'm listening to this. I don't even know where is this even coming from. Well, try not to think about it that way. Yeah, I'm going to get a little bit esoteric, sometimes some with other subjects, but only because I believe that being able to open up your mind to be able to see some things the way you haven't seen them before, and also get the experience that of some of the stuff you have not experienced before, and see if it makes sense to you. If it seems like it might be, if I'm explaining something that had you that had you in contradiction mode, the way that you were thinking about it before, in a mode that you were a little bit confused. There's a lot of controversy in how you were thinking about what you were thinking about. When you have a clearer mind, because a clear explanation, those things get a little bit diminished. Those things. So let me get into the topic that we're talking about. I want to get into the topic of the different bodies that we have. We have 7 bodies. 7. Seven is a very sacred number in the universe. It's a sacred number. You talk about numerology. People believe in numerology, or believe in astrology, or people believe in a lot of things. I mean, I'm not one to say who's going to discount any of it, because I believe that if someone is imagining and dreaming it up, it has a basis somewhere. If it's information that's coming from a place that has some type of authenticity as far as being metaphysical, so they're having to do with metaphysics, connecting with physics. Quantum physics has done that. We all know there's math, so we can't say that that numerology is just like just took math and do some stupid thing with it. No, we know that there's math. We know that there's different equations that are impossible to find until you figure out exactly how to make these equations work. Then we look at things like the pyramids, and we see how it was built, and the measurements that were used, how far they are, from the moon and from the sun, and how, we know that numbers have a place in our reality. So for us to just throw out the numerology, that you just keep your mind open. That's all I'm saying. Just keep your mind open. Whatever astrology, we know that the stars are out there and they're in different positions, and they've been that way certain wise, and the way everything is cyclic in our universe, and the way cycle and come back around, and are definite patterns, and the ancients used to be able to predict things because of that, and so we don't have to throw anything out. It's just okay, well, maybe so. If I really want to know about it, then I'm going to concentrate and study on that, and see how well it sits with me, as far as that goes. No need to throw out the extraterrestrials. I haven't seen any. I haven't seen any. They haven't abducted me. I was just saying, well, there ain't none because I ain't seen it. And just because I didn't see it doesn't mean that I can throw it all out. There's people that can tell you a lot of things. You don't have to believe anything. I was abducted and they did experiments and they came back. It came to me and they told me about these civilizations and how they're all controlling us, so we don't have any really control over ourselves because they're overseeing and controlling us, and they're the ones that are doing it. They're the ones that to made humans from impregnating and I'm not trying to throw any of it out. I'm not saying I believe totally in any of it. I'm not just saying get the heck out of here with that. You start talking about like a flat Earth or something, I'm going to say, come on, look, you can't just tell me anything. Come on, there's too much evidence that listen, the government lied to you with all of the spaceships that have taken pictures and physicists. Things have basis in something a lot of times. You can't just come on. You gotta use your mind in a proper way. It might just help you to understand things. Don't try to find bases in things that don't make sense. Find bases in racism or races or violence or like just evil acts. And so we know these things that are bad. We know what's bad within us. We know them, but and those are things we should throw out, of course, because we know that. But some of them, okay, the ego says I want to do it or whatever, but what's wrong and what's bad. Throw them out, and think logically. So things that are racist and stuff, like, throw them out, but use your imagination for the good purpose so that we can discover, we can imagine, that's what we have. That's what we have, imagination. So just use it in a good way. Try to base it in a way that's using some kind of common sense. We have common sense. We were given common sense. So somebody said, well, Adam and Eve and the tree of knowledge that came and forbidden fruits and everything, and that's how we got our reason, because we ate the tree. Look, we walking around with no clothes, and then we decided we could. Okay, those explanations, I think they're analogous. You don't have to, come on. Then you come to a place where you have common sense, and then you say, okay, I understand that as in the analogy that was trying to be made out of that, about the Adam and Eve story with the original sin, and Cain killed Abel, and then you gotta take things. You're headed towards like common sense, and we're headed towards greatness. So let's use what we have to get towards that greatness. Evolution means that we're headed towards greatness. Now, it takes a while, of course. You can't. You can't. It's like the hands of a clock. If you're looking at the hands of a clock, you're not going to see it move, but you have to look away for a while. When you look back, then you say, "Oh, I see it move." So evolution, same thing. You're not going to see it while it's happening. You got to turn away and look back again and say, "Oh, this is how we evolve. This is how things are evolving." So it might be something you see it. You didn't think it was that great, but at the same time, it would go by the understanding that it's headed towards greatness. And if you look further back, you're going to see that things have moved. The people that have tried to understand about the vibrations of this of this human race, they all say the same thing: is that we're headed somewhere, right? So let me stop. We're supposed to be talking about the bodies, It's a little bit sidetracked with that 7, which is the sacred number in the universe. It is. We have 7 colors that comes through a prism, and that create reality. That create reality. We have 7 days in the week. We have seven chakras that might be like a little bit imaginary, but they're seven chakras and 7 centers of energy that have been described, and 7 is a very sacred number. In mathematics, look at dice. You see, you see like that every opposite side, it reflects a 7. That's why it's called a lucky number. You throw 7 and you're lucky. You won money. You win. But every opposite side is a 7. So there's one of those mathematical things that happens. If you're talking about let's talk about it. There's a lot of 7, but I was talking about the pyramid. The pyramid is it's a 7. It's geometrical 7. It's the base is like a square, and that's 4 sides. And as it goes up, it's like triangles, and so those are triangles. So the base is a square, and sides are triangles, and that's 7. See, that's no mistake. It was done that way because it was a reflection of something. It was a reflection of humanity and the way that the structure of a human is. We have 7 bodies. 4 of those bodies connect us to the earth. The ego, and is my way of saying it. Ego, 4 of those bodies is the lower mind. So those are the base. That's why, because it's rooted in what we see as the material world, it's rooted to the earth. And then we have 3 of the bodies, like a triangle, that connect us directly to the spiritual. These have nothing to do with the material world. They have to do with the spiritual portion of our body. Of course, everything is commingled, but those bodies are not concentrating on the material. They're not talking about the mundane material. They're not. They're talking. So these are topics that I've gotten from esoteric studies, theosophy, different forms of thought, such as that. If you want to know where I'm getting this information from, not just like making it up. It's like a lot of it is intuitive. Once you get to a certain point, you just gain that intuition that you can get information intuitively. But I'm not trying to give myself credit for anything. No, it's just not me. It's coming to me and through me, and I'm just trying to put it down. It's not like me. That's like the super guy, Superman, and the guy. But it's like a lot of fun doing this. But that's it. So you have the 4 bodies that are connected to the earth. Of course, the first one is our physical body. This is a body. It's a physical body. The structure and arms and legs, and the organs, and the substances, the blood, and and like I said, those bacteria and those. Most people, well, yeah, so that's my body. So what are you talking about? Yeah, we're talking about 7 bodies. That's my body right there. That's it. Well, that's not really it. You know, besides fat physical body, you also have that you have a okay, wait a minute. Let me turn my tape again. Here, let me stop. Okay, so after the physical body, which we always spoke about, its properties, everything that we surely can understand about that, because that's the physical. That's the physical. That it has to do with physics, and the physical is not the problem trying to understand that. So our next one, our next body, our second body is called the etheric body. The etheric body is like a body it's a ghostly body that surrounds our physical body. I call it ghostly because it's like it's more spiritual. It's not physical. It's more metaphysical, spiritual. You can't touch it, feel it, see it, but mystics can see it because mystics can look at you and they'll see your etheric body, or etheric has a aura, etheric body. So not only is it shaping it, but it's glowing with an aura, and that aura can be read, and tell things about you as a personality, because that aura that's being reflected in your etheric body is who you are. So it can be read that way. So that's the second body. And the third body that we talk about is called the astral body, and that's another body that's surrounding even the etheric body, and that body is in tune with the astral plane, because the astral plane is like where your dreams are manifested, and so it has authority in that realm. Your astral body, depending on how adept you are, you can use your astral body. You can travel any place because there's really not that much limitations in the astral world, as far as information that you can get and things that you can see and ascertain. But most people, because they're not developed that much, your astral body is just like a dream world, so that's where your dreams are coming from your astral journeys when you're physically asleep, and your astral body can take over and observe some things. Doesn't really observe, go that far away from your physical body, because as I say, you got to have more development for you to really have that astral body be able to really travel, in a great way. But suffices to say that that's where your dreams come from the astral world, on the astral plane. And your astral body is that connection. So the fourth body that we can talk about is the lower mental body. Of course, mental body, that means that's where your thinking comes from, where you think about things, mostly the thinking on the mundane level. They're figuring out, your reasoning, your rational, your logical, your even your whatever. I mean, your evil, your whatever you want to think about. Your the things that your ego wants to manifest. Silly, mundane things, evil, and jealousy, and those things, anger, all those things. But that's the mental body. The mental body is connected with the thought forms that are all around you, and the thought forms that you create. So the intermingling with all those thought forms are what makes you act and do certain things and do different things. Because thoughts are always flowing all around. Not just your own thoughts, other people's thoughts. All the thoughts, they're all flowing around. And sometimes you're picking up on other people's thoughts, and sometimes you're projecting your thoughts to other people. So all these thought forms that are coming around is these are what makes a person think and do and even understand things in certain ways, because the influence of the four thought forms, the vibrations of all the thought forms, and these are manifested in the lower mental when they're associated with the material world, associated with the earth, when it's associated with the mundane stuff. These are the lower mental. This is your lower mental body utilizing all the vibrations from the thought forms that are ever present. So those are the four on the base of that pyramid that we talk about. All that is connecting us to the earth, connecting us to the material, connecting us to the mundane, connecting us to things that are not all that spiritual. Everything intermingles, as they say, but those things that connect us down here. And then we start to understand about the higher bodies of the seven, three higher bodies. The first one we like to call the higher mental body. Yes, that's different than the lower mental body, because the lower mental body is, like I said, it's connecting us to the earth and to mundane thoughts and to thoughts that are not of the spiritual nature, per se, that much. Whereas the higher mental body is directly in tune with the higher vibrations from, like I said, from the higher self. And so those thought forms are like intuitional thought forms. How we get intuition, we don't know where it comes from. You get inspired to do something. It's just something comes to you, gut feelings, the things that you don't know where it comes from, but it just comes to you in intuition, your intuitional self. These things are attracted from this is your higher mental body attracting those things and taking them throughout the rest of your body and allowing you to utilize those kind of thought forms, those kind of vibrational, vibrational messages that are coming from there, utilized by the higher mental body. And as we know, we still are feeling them and experiencing them in our other selves, in our lower selves. We can feel, intuition. Oh my God, I got this inspiration. I got this, I'm understanding how to do music, art, all these things. They just coming from inspirational things. They're not, you're not generating them with your lower self. You're just receiving them from your higher intuitions. So these higher intuitions are what also are causing you to be able to experience things in such a wonderful, fantastic manner, because these are like I said, these are the things that are for us from our artistic and humanistic understandings of things that are not the mundane. These are things that are from the higher realm that are coming down to us and letting us experience that. Now, the next body after that is, I like to call it the monadic body. Now, monad is a term that's used from that it usually is used to try to identify the spark that is you, the spark that has originally come from the ultimate divine presence that has created everything. It created everything, and we created what you are as a spark. So there's just your spark, but that your spark is like innumerable amount of sparks that are the personalities of even the people that you see around you. They're all monadic sparks. And your monadic spark, it's not just you in your physical form. Your monadic spark has the same one that's you. Like my name is Keith, so the same Keith that is me now is the same Keith that has come through all of the different planes. There's the Keith elemental, the Keith mineral, the Keith vegetable, the Keith animal, the Keith human, and that's the Keith human that I am now, and it's going to be the Keith that continues on to divine and on back to, as I say, that divine essence that everything is, that everything is, that the all is. And that actually is the next body. The next body is called the Atma body. And sometimes it's referred to as that, the Atma body. And the Atma body is just that, as I say, it's just that divine, all-knowing, all-being, all-encompassing universe that we see as something that is outside of ourselves because of our sensibilities the way they are now, but it's actually us, actually what we are. So that Atma body is what understands that. That Atma body is the Atma body that is bringing us back to itself. And when we get back to that, as far as our rising through our spiritual development, then naturally then we are going to be that all knowing, all being, all understanding, all just it entity. No more impersonal, personal, no more need for what do you call it, identity or personality or all of this kind of stuff. No need for that. It's, we're it. We're everything. We're the all. So we are that, but at the same time, we have to realize ourselves in different forms as we are rising back to that. So that is the purpose of our journey. And that is the purpose of our 7 bodies. Because each body can experience, even on this plane that we're on, a human plane, each body can experience these different things that I've mentioned for each body to to experience, so we can experience, and we can have the blessing of the consciousness and conscious experience of everything that is that is our blessing in this particular plane, this particular dispensation that we are. That's what's so wonderful about this journey that we're on. Once you get a chance to really start to think about it, start to understand it. I'm explaining it the best as I can. You know, some people might explain it a little differently. Some people explain it way differently. But I'm just trying to show, I'm trying to open up that understanding that we don't have to be caught up in one way. Let's try to see what the ancients were saying, what the mystics were saying. Let's try to experience that because it's there for us. And we as members of the human plane and members of the monadic expression of what has come out, it's something that is just so beautiful and awesome that once we really get a feeling of it, that's what gives us joy. We have to seek it. We have to, research it or seek it or take it in or intuitionally ingest it, whatever. But it's there for us because these are the things that I am trying to just put out there so that people can try and understand it and try to get a little bit of a gist of what I'm talking about, what these things are. Hopefully that it helps someone to have a little bit more freedom with the way that they think, and with that freedom, they experience things that they never have experienced before. Without even any drugs or any like hallucinogens or all that kind of stuff. That's not necessary. It's nice. Everything here is fun, nice, it's great. I'm not putting anything down. I'm just saying that there's some things that are just really a more straight and narrow path to where we're trying to go anyway. But it's for us to have as much fun as we can while we're going there. So I'm not putting anything down. The only thing, like I said, the only thing that I put down are the things that we know are just, they're not helping. You're doing evil things. You're not caring about anything. You just have no compassion. You don't, you don't care about anybody, about anything. Your ego is just the whole thing. That's just. It's all about you, all about I said everything is the center of the universe, but I didn't mean that you're the center of the universe in that way. You're the center of the universe because you're the all of the universe. So let's get it straight. Use what you have and all of the vibrations and all of the wonderful knowledge and understanding to get us more bliss, more joy. That's what's out there for us. That's what is there for us. That's where we're headed. That's what I'm trying to say about our bodies. That's why these 7 bodies that I talk about are a nice, important topic, fun to think about, fun to explore, fun to try to understand. That's what I think is the benefit of knowing about your 7 bodies. So I'm going to stop this one right here, and we're going to get on to the next topic. I'm going to figure that out, and I hope we enjoyed this one. And as I said, I hope we want to explore this any further. There's so many ways of doing that, but suffice it to say, you have 7 bodies. Okay. You know what? I'm going to offer like a bonus here. I just got inspired by, it's like I said, these intuitions and everything that comes through your bodies and everything. I just got inspired to talk more about these bodies. It's such a beautiful topic as far as I'm concerned. And I want to see if I could just share a little bit more. As I said, just I've been inspired, and I want to try to get the rest of this out, which is what is inside of me. I want to get it out there to you guys. Reason why that I'm so happy to understand these bodies and have us try to use them in our experience. Because if we just try to understand ourselves as one physical body, then we're trapped in a physical body. But if you use your understanding about where your emotions are coming from, where your mental understanding is coming from, where your intuitive thoughts are coming from, and why you have this awe about this spirituality that's around you, these things are the reason why. Because you're not just one body. You consist of all of these different bodies. And when I say bodies, I just mean different vibration. We know from quantum physics that everything is vibrations everywhere. So we know that there's really nothing that is solid. Everything is vibrations. I'm so glad that quantum physics came around so that people can start to understand things a little deeper than before. Because when you say things are not really solid, you be like, what do you mean things are not solid, man? I'm sitting in a chair. It's solid, I can't put my hand through my head. So I'm solid. It's just, but what I'm talking about, this is quantum physics. I'm not talking about God or Jesus or anything. I'm talking about what quantum physics says. Everything is energy and everything is vibrational. And it's our senses that make us perceive things as they are. So that if we perceive something as being solid and we can't go through it, doesn't mean that, I have a different perception and then just go through it. We're not able to just circumvent physics, like we're in physics at the same time that we're in metaphysics, at the same time that we're in quantum physics, and we're in all those at the same time. So we just have to try to imagine and figure out what all these things are. And I'm not figuring them out like, you gotta sit there 1,000 years and try to figure it. You just know of them, and then you kind of use them in your thought processes. So, like I'm saying, knowing that nothing is really solid, that means that your physical body is not really solid. It's a manifestation of something that is manifesting as something that's seeming to be solid. It's seeming to be solid. That's all I have to say about that. So therefore, if I say you have that, plus you have that other vibrational aspects of yourself that are also involved in that vibrational sphere of what we call a body, does that sound too far-fetched? That's what I'm trying to do. Try to say things in a way that doesn't sound too far-fetched from the reason that we all know. It's all in that same vibrational entity that is a body, although it's called many bodies. Just because one is on the level of being solid, physical, material, to that extent, the others are still there in a vibrational manifestation within the entity that we're calling a body. These are all there, and they're all being utilized in our being. So knowing this, we can now start to understand why we feel certain ways, why we intuit certain things, why sometimes things make sense to us, sometimes they don't, and where all this stuff is coming from. It helps us to pick all this stuff apart a little, because now you say, now I can think a little bit more open about this. Now that I know and understand that I have these different bodies that are actually part of what I am, I can now see why I am hooked up with this religion, why my thoughts when I think about this other person are so vivid as opposed to when I think about this person, which my thoughts don't go any place. But when I think about this person, and my thoughts are just so negative, because I'm just thinking about, oh, this is just normal, this is the way I'm a person and everything, instead of saying, well, I know why this is happening now. I think since I know why, I think I might have a little bit more control about how I'm utilizing these different bodies that I have. So I'm not taking these like I've studied all of these so that I brushed over them enough, and skimmed over them enough to have a bit of an understanding of what I'm talking about. Yes, of course, and can explain it. And I do know of them. I do know what they are there to represent on a general level. And there's people that want to know more, like I explained before. You got to just study deeper. At the same time, you're saying to yourself, okay, there's nothing bad about what's going on here that I'm doing. I am perceiving things in a certain way, and they're making me act in a certain way and react in certain ways, and the thought forms that I'm forming in my mental body, they are vivid, and they are affecting me, and they're affecting others, and those others are affecting me also, and I have to take all this into consideration. Other people's thought forms are affecting me too. So, I don't have to be afraid of them. There's some voodoo person. No, because your will is the final speaker of everything. There's nobody who can do anything to you, like mentally, that your will is not going to allow it to, when your will is strong enough. So you need to know that. I'm not saying that we don't have people that have certain mental afflictions, and they can't figure out how to control themselves. Because through the trillions of cells that we have, a lot of times there's too many of them that are unbalanced. A little effective, unbalanced. And I call a human entity to go in a way that seems very sporadic or crazy, or not the way that it could be controlled. And yes, that happens because we're talking about things that are not exact. There's no exactness. There's no, yeah, that's right. There's no exact science. No exact. We're trying to attain balance, but there's no exactness in this universe because we have duality in this universe. What duality means that you have to have chaos if you want to have balance. Because if you did not have any chaos, then you wouldn't know what balance was. See, so when we're in this universe, when we're in this manifestation, it's about duality. We'll get more into that into our next topic. But suffice it to say, for now, everybody is doing what they're doing on the level that they're doing it with the different bodies that we have and the karmic reality of where they are right now. Everything that we're doing now is because of something that happened before. Because that's a law of the universe, like we're saying. So if whatever happened before is manifesting now, and you can do your best to pray, use your will, do whatever you need, or you have a great time in all your bodies. Try to understand them, how to use them for your benefit. Don't be so surprised that everything doesn't go exactly your way all the time. I'm sure you're not necessarily surprised. Don't get so bent out of shape. It's hard to control all that too. I hope that I don't get any big tragedy. I'm a person getting older. Things are going to happen to me. I don't like that, but I have to try to keep my will at that place where I say that, listen, it's not that serious. I am here. I am beautiful. Everything is beautiful around me. I'm in God's hands. God gave me these different bodies that I can experience everything that I'm experiencing, or experiencing them all. I'm trying to understand them all. I'm trying to keep everything in perspective. And when I do that, and I continually do that, for some reason, I always wind up feeling joyful. For some reason, I wound up waking up in the morning and saying, wow, I'm here again to do this again, all over again. This is so great. I came out of my astral and I'm back into the physical. And thank you. Thank you, Creator. Thank you, creation. Thank you, everything. It's just that wonderful feeling of having that understanding of what I am being thrown into when I wake up. I'm not no longer just being thrown into chaos. I'm being thrown into a situation where chaotic things might happen. Chaotic things might be involved in it. Chaotic things might sometimes surround me. But basically, everything is beautiful. The beauty that surrounds me, just the breaths that I take and the taste that I have when I eat food, and the wonderful nourishment from water, and just being able to move and dance and sing and laugh and love others and see others and have that great feeling of, wow, look at these other beings. Look at all this other manifestation around me. Look at. So that's a balance that we always have to try to keep in our minds in order to keep our joy. Don't just focus on some of the things that are troubling you. I mean, yeah, there's going to be trouble. There's going to be tribulations. And you got to do your best to alleviate that trouble. But don't just make that your whole focus, because there's so much more to focus on. That's what I'm trying to talk about. All the different things that we can focus on, why they make sense. And why, when we're saying them to ourselves, we're also saying, this is such a tremendously wonderful universe that I'm in, and that I am. As a matter of fact, I am this. Not only am I in this, I am this. So what more can I possibly be asking for? Don't I have everything? Yes, I do. I have everything already. Sometimes I lose sight of that. It's easy to lose sight of it. Lose sight of it whenever, but when I go back to this way of thought, I understand once more that I do have everything, because I am everything. All right, that's it. That's the bonus. We'll get ready to go to our next topic. Thank you. See you soon.